Family Guy's got characters. A lot of them, in fact. Some of them you love, and some of them are absolutely horrible human beings beyond redemption. For example, Quagmire is definitely not everyone's cup of tea. In fact, some people downright hate him. His perverted antics have often overstepped the mark and left some viewers offended by his levels of depravity.
Glenn, will you accept this rose?
Really? After I drugged you and tried to have with your unconscious body?
What?
Yes.
Oh man, I bet the FCC had a full mailbox today after this aired. In Brian the Bachelor, the Bachelorette comes to Quahog. Peter thinks it'll be the perfect opportunity to help Cleveland get over Loretta leaving him and convinces him to audition. Unfortunately though, Cleveland panics while waiting to be seen, so Peter ties him up naked to calm him down.
You know what? Look, Cleveland, look. See? Now you're not alone.
I need to get out of here.
Cleveland, no, you're staying.
Oh my God!
These guys look like they've turned up to the wrong kind of audition. Understandably, the executives are horrified, but before they have time to call security and an army of cleaners to deal with that chair, with no other guys left to audition, they offer Brian a role on The Bachelorette instead of Cleveland. The only problem is Brian has a little competition.
Quagmire?
Oh, hey, Brian.
How did you get on the show?
Yeah?
All right. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, check under the bed.
Nope, nothing.
Quagmire? Really? Don't they do background checks for these shows? Or supposed to, anyway? The lawsuits are coming faster than Quagmire can rip his tiger skin underwear off. While Brian is there for the free booze, Quagmire has far darker reasons to be on the show. At the Bachelorette house, Brian is happy to get into the open bar, but Quagmire can barely contain his excitement. And I do mean that literally.
Hey guys. Well, it's been great to meet you all.
Dude, put your pants on!
Shut up!
Can you imagine how much blurring the editors would have to add with Quagmire around? They might as well smear butter on the camera lens and be done with it. Unbelievably, Quagmire is given a rose by the Bachelorette, Brooke Roberts, which means he gets to stay in the competition along with Brian. The first activity the Bachelors have to do is horse riding with Brooke, but she soon gets annoyed by how everyone is coming on to her, even though that's the whole point of the show. That's like signing up for a boxing match and getting upset that someone's trying to punch you in the face. When Quagmire goes on a private date with Brooke, he arguably does his most perverted act to date. While the two are enjoying some quality time in the jacuzzi, drinking champagne, Glenn offers to top up her glass. Sweet and thoughtful, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think that was a Mento he just put in her drink. Come on, Quagmire, asking for consent isn't just a pleasantry, you know? This dark moment went a little too far for some viewers and left a bad taste in their mouths. Kind of like that champagne. If spiking Brooke's drink isn't bad enough, he then does this.
All right. Oh, hey. Good night, Brooke. Thanks for a lovely evening.
Something tells me she'll just let him keep that sandal. So gross. Unable to remember what he's trying to do to her, Brooke invites Quagmire into the finals along with Brian. As part of the last activity, she visits the Griffin household to meet the family, but things quickly devolve into chaos.
What?
There!
Peter, Lois, we have proof Chris vandalized Goldman's pharmacy.
Who sold you the drugs?
Wow, their table manners stink. Brian thinks he's blown his chance with Brooke, but it turns out meeting Quagmire's mom went even worse.
His mother.
Glenn, would you feed Mittens? Mittens is a member of this family.
When they said he had to do a family activity, I don't think they meant that. Brian is crowned the winner of The Bachelorette and admits he's fallen in love with Brooke, but it turns out the whole romance was just for the show. What? Reality TV is fake? Family Guy always tackles sensitive issues and pushes the envelope of comedy, but with Quagmire, a lot of critics draw the line at what should and shouldn't be joked about. I mean, there are very few deviant crimes this guy hasn't committed.
Did you have with this underage girl? Quagmire, I'm afraid you're under arrest for statutory rape.
All right, but let me just send the pictures I took of her last night to all my friends.
You'd think he'd know better living next to a cop. But while Quagmire gets a lot of hate for his questionable antics, the same cannot be said about Stewie, who, despite doing some pretty awful things, is one of the most beloved characters in Family Guy. Stewie Griffin is as complicated as he is lovable. He can be an evil mastermind, the hero, a murderer, and sometimes even act his age.
Lois, you know what we should do right now? We should play restaurant with my Play-Doh. Oh, can you imagine such a world?
Now it's time for bed.
Hey, Lois, I have a secret for you. You're awesome.
I guess it beats him trying to kill her. Stewie is unarguably one of the most popular characters in Family Guy and has delivered many legendary moments for fans, from time travel to elaborate musical numbers. He's had plenty of running gags over the years. One of the longest is his hatred of his mother. But in Stewie Loves Lois, that all changed. The episode begins with the pair having some mother and son time at the park, but things go so wrong when a dog steals Rupert and does the unimaginable.
Give
Rupert!
me that bear!
A little injury. Poor Rupert has less stuffing than a $1 burrito. Obviously, Stewie is traumatized after seeing his buddy get torn to shreds. Thankfully, Lois must have taken a crash course in stuffed animal surgery as she manages to make him good as new. Well, except for the scar running down his body, but I think it gives him character. By saving Stewie's best friend, he starts seeing Lois in a new light.
And to help you feel better, I made your favorite dinner.
Cut green beans, Atkins friendly potato sticks arranged according to size from largest to smallest, Scooby-Doo yogurt, perfect down to the last detail. I was wrong about you. You're my everything.
I bet he regrets all the times he tried to murder her now. Maybe. Lois is happy that Stewie's finally acting like a super clingy baby, even climbs under the bed for her cuddles. Although I think he may have instantly regretted it after this happened.
Lois, your breasts are great. Well, good morning, Mr. Nipple. Must be cold in here. What do you say we move south a little bit? There we go. Oh, you are so ready.
Well, let's just hope Stewie has the memory of a 1-year-old, or else the therapy bill is going to be sky high. Stewie doesn't seem too traumatized, however, as the two continue to bond, and he even tells Lois that he loves her. At this point, it just feels wrong to hear him say that.
Oh, you're like a female Bonnie Hunt.
Only Stewie can sound like a baby and a Victorian gentleman at the same time. It's kind of impressive. The newfound love from Stewie is short-lived, though, as his neediness starts wearing Lois out. If I were her, I'd just be grateful he didn't act this way throughout the entire 26 years of the show.
Lois! 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 Mom! 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 Mummy! Mama!
What?
Hi.
Wow. If this is what babies are like, then I would like to dedicate this video to my mom and say sorry. Sleep deprived and exhausted, Lois has a dream about putting Stewie in the washing machine. Well, that's pretty disturbing for me. The freakiest part is that Lois can hear him speak. Worried that she's going to act out the dream, she turns to Brian for advice, who tells her to break Stewie's overdependence.
This is for your own good.
Where are you going? Lois? Lois? Lois, answer me! Damn you, I will not be ignored! Get back in here and love me!
Sorry, I just got flashbacks of my high school crush turning me down for prom. And it's past. Unfortunately, Lois's tough love approach don't go as planned after Stewie takes drastic measures and stages an overdose of medicine from the bathroom cabinet. Okay, dude, listen to a sad breakup song by Adele like the rest of us and get over it, bro. Fortunately for Stewie, that plan kind of works out.
Hey! I'm dying up here! Lois, get with me! Ah! Ow!
It only took a broken arm for her to notice him again. Kinda concerned about that. Lois runs to her baby and smothers him with affection, but for Stewie, it's too late. He even tells her that he hopes she gets charged for child abuse. Well, it's safe to say the old Stewie's back.
Forget it, you neglectful, swag-bellied measle. You had your chance and you blew it.
I'd sleep with one eye open, Lois. This little dude may like snuggles, but he also has more weapons than a cartel safe house. Well, let's move on from a cherished Griffin family member to a neighbor reveled for her miserable personality and lack of morals. Loretta Brown ranks as one of the least liked Family Guy characters ever, and it's pretty clear to see why. They say you should not speak ill of the dead, but Loretta is the exception to the rule and is deservingly on the hated side. Not only did she constantly berate and control Cleveland throughout their marriage, but she cheated on him with the absolute worst person.
Hey, can I have my fish back?
Oh, you gonna have to reach into the cookie jar.
The phrase, "there's plenty more fish in the sea," has never been truer here. In Cleveland, Loretta Quagmire, Peter invites his neighbors out on a boat trip. Quagmire decides to do a little bit of fishing, but accidentally tosses his catch into the bosom of Loretta. He asks Loretta if he can get his fish back, but she tells him he'll have to get it out himself. At first, it seems Quagmire might have a sliver of decency as he tells her he can't do that because she's his best friend's wife, but any sense of loyalty quickly goes out the window.
Hey, Quagmire.
Well, we'll have to do this again sometime.
You name the time and the place, little Nick.
Who would have thought a fish could be such a good wingman? But surely Loretta was just joking, right? No, she wasn't. As Peter and Brian are talking out on the street, they overhear Loretta making noises that sound like a farmyard animal in distress. They quickly burst into the Brown family home to help her, but are met with this sight.
Peter Griffin, temporarily suspended CPR. Holy crap.
We should go.
Boy, that was embarrassing, huh? Walking in on Loretta and Cleveland having sex.
Peter, that wasn't,
You know, for a large, heavy-set black guy, Cleveland's got a cute little white ass.
Come on, Peter, catch up. Fortunately for Quagmire, the guys didn't see who Loretta was with, only his tattooed butt. They quickly tell the rest of their friends that Loretta is cheating on Cleveland, which makes Quagmire scared that his dirty little secret will come out. I wouldn't worry, Glenn. Unless they start printing a picture of your ass on ID cards, then you're scot-free. Peter and Brian act like true friends and tell Cleveland that they caught his wife doing the nasty with another guy, and Cleveland rushes home to confront her about it, but this is all she has to say for herself.
Were you really having carnal relations with another gentleman?
I'm a woman, Cleveland. I need some passion in my life. I need a real man, and Lord knows that ain't you.
So she cheats and blames it on him. Wild. What makes this moment really sad is that Cleveland apologizes to her for not being able to satisfy her in the bedroom. Shortly, Loretta will realize that she's the one in the wrong here.
That's nice mentality, and for that I apologize.
Apologize? I cheat on you and you apologize to me? You are pathetic.
I disagree, but I respect your candor.
Goodbye, Cleveland.
Cheated on and kicked out. Safe to say Cleveland is having a pretty cruddy day. With nowhere to go, Cleveland goes to stay with the Griffins. Lois gets worried that he's bottling up his emotions, then he needs to express them. But Peter thinks he just needs to find a rebound and turns to Quagmire for advice, inadvertently discovering the truth in the process.
Guys, let me throw something on.
Peter, look!
That's the tattoo. Well, I think we're about to find out who the culprit is.
Not so fast, guys. Maybe there's another guy in the neighborhood with Quagmire's number tattooed on their ass. Peter and Brian confront Quagmire, who tells them that he didn't mean for it to happen and begs them not to tell Cleveland. But Peter does the right thing for once. Cleveland takes the news well. A little too well. Unbelievably, he says he'd rather his wife fool around with Glenn than someone who could give her a disease. Are we both talking about the same Quagmire here? Lois decides to get tough on her friend, but things get a little weird.
Better it be Quagmire than someone she could get a disease from.
This is why your wife left you. You don't have any passion. Sometimes a woman wants to see her man be a man. You gotta push back a little. You gotta get a little rough. Oh, God, Peter, hit me.
Yeah!
Ow!
Wow, Lois has a freaky side. Nobody tell Quagmire. Peter takes Cleveland to a wrestling match to help him get his masculinity back, but it doesn't work. So he resorts to acting out what he saw Glenn and Loretta doing.
Those are so his mannerisms.
Peter, what the hell are you doing?
I'm Quagmire, and I'm doing you, Loretta.
What the hell?
Oh, you like it? Yeah, much better
Peter,
than Cleveland.
knock it off!
Yeah, you sweet thing.
Get your
Oh,
damn
you
hands
like it
off
dirty,
me, son of
don't
a
you?
bitch.
As you can probably imagine, this made Cleveland want Quagmire's head on a platter. Scared for Glenn's safety, Peter asks Mayor West to hide him in his house until Cleveland calms down. Mayor West is more than happy to help protect him, even standing guard while he sleeps. I don't know who Glenn should be more scared of, really. Cleveland's anger reaches a boiling point, and after working out like an inmate serving a life sentence, he confronts Quagmire.
Oh, hey, Cleveland, I was just leaving you a message.
Violated the sanctity of my marriage.
He has more beds than a Motel 6. Eventually, Cleveland manages to catch Quagmire, but realizes that it's not in his nature to hurt anyone. But that's a good dude. Soon after, Loretta turns up and Cleveland finally sticks up for himself.
You told me this was Lois's intervention.
Cleveland? Loretta, what you did was unforgivable. This marriage is over.
Well, that's just fine, Cleveland. I am through being your wife.
And of course, she is still not sorry. Funnily enough, though, it's not just Cleveland who couldn't stand Loretta, as Alex Borstein, her voice actor, decided to quit the character as the gravelly voice put too much pressure on her vocal cords, ultimately leading to Loretta being killed off.
Oh, God!
The irony. But not all the neighbors living on Spooner Street suck. Take Joe Swanson, who, despite his intense nature, is one of the sweetest characters in Family Guy. Whether it's his unhinged outbursts of aggression, his unwavering devotion to upholding the law, or his close relationship with Peter and the gang, Joe Swanson is definitely loved by fans. But in one episode, that almost changed.
Crippled and you were lazy. I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
We've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
While there have been many jokes about Joe's disability, in Believe It or Not, Joe's Walking on Air, viewers got to see a side of him they've never seen before. And I'm not just talking about his backside. While the guys are enjoying a drink at the Clam, they get quite the surprise when Lois, Bonnie, and Cleveland's girlfriend Bernice turns up for a girls' night. With the women practically taking over the clan, Peter builds the Quahog Men's Club in his backyard, but it's not long before the women show up there too. Is nowhere sacred? Turns out that a little bit of female energy is exactly what the club needs, with everyone up and dancing. Well, almost everyone.
What's the matter, Bonnie? Don't you want to dance?
It's okay, Joe. I don't mind sitting here with you.
What I mean is, I don't want to hold you back.
It's just as nice watching other people have fun.
If that isn't sad enough, he overhears Bonnie talking to Lois the very next day, saying that she didn't mind not dancing as she knew what she'd signed up for with Joe. Ouch. But fair. Feeling like a burden, Joe goes to Dr. Hartman to see if there's anything he can do to fix his legs. The doc tells him that he can have a leg transplant, and after choosing a pair of legs that didn't belong to Big Bird or a horse, the new Joe Swanson is born.
Gentlemen, the new Joe Swanson.
I cannot tell you how strange it is seeing him stand up after so long. I feel like a proud parent who just saw their baby take their first steps. But it's not long before Joe is taking advantage of his new legs, which includes doing the no pants dance with Bonnie and forcing the guys to do all the things he couldn't do before. They go rock climbing, practice karate like they're in Cobra Kai, and even perform this little number.
It's too late to say goodnight.
So say good morning!
Dude is scary with working legs, but he does have fancy footwork. With Joe's confidence spiraling out of control, he decides to ditch the guys for a new group of friends who can keep up with his new sporty lifestyle. In fact, Joe comes to this realization.
With you guys is that I was crippled and you were lazy. I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But we've been friends for years.
We all make mistakes.
If you think that's harsh, when Quagmire reminds Joe that they've been friends for years, he tells them that everybody makes mistakes. So this is what Joe was like before his accident. A huge douchebag. Talk about walking out on your friends. That's literally what he did. The guys are obviously upset with how Joe just dumped them and tried to recruit a new friend, but they can't find anyone suitable. Sitting in a bar all day and talking crap must be a lot harder than it looks, huh? Peter eventually goes to Joe's house to try and convince him to be friends again, but discovers he's also turned against Bonnie.
There's nothing to talk about. I've outgrown you, Bonnie. I need to spread my legs and fly. Keep the kid.
Okay, now that's going too far. Peter tries to stop Joe from leaving with his new friends, but he just won't listen. Desperate, Peter comes up with a plan to make Joe disabled again because, and I quote, it's the right thing to do. Family Guy logic at its finest. Waiting for Joe to return home, the guys jump him armed with weapons, but things don't go according to plan. Okay, I'm certain the donor of those legs was John Wick, dude. Frick. The guys continue to fight, but Joe just completely whoops them, leaving them bloody and bruised. It seems like the new Joe's here to stay, but that's when Bonnie appears with a gun and just shoots him.
Ah, my perfect ass!
For your spine.
Ah, damn it!
I'm a terrible shot.
Ah, just give me the gun! I'll do it myself!
Well, they do say if you want a job done right. After disabling himself, the old Joe returns and apologizes, and the guys forgive him. I'm just glad he's back to the version of him everyone knows and loves. Despite being in a wheelchair, Joe Swanson is one of the most physically capable characters in Family Guy, especially when it comes to kicking ass. With legs, he's just deadly. On top of that, he's genuinely caring, loyal to his pals, and a pretty sweet guy.
We can all go for a nice long walk.
All right! Yeah! Wait a minute.
Don't ever change, Joe. While most characters have gone against their morals at some point, Joe's law-abiding discipline has always pretty much kept him genuine to his character, unlike Brian. Brian's character has evolved a lot over the past 26 years of Family Guy, and not entirely for the better. At first, he started out as the voice of reason, but has since become self-centered, pretentious, sleazy, and I dare say pretty hated.
Ah, my head is swimming. Oh my God, Brian, no! What are you doing?
I can't help myself, Lois.
So this is why people get their dogs neutered. A great example of how far he's fallen happens in Play It Again, Brian. After his essay wins first prize in a writing contest, Brian is invited to an award ceremony at Martha's Vineyard. It seems that the vacation couldn't have come at a better time. However, as Lois is annoyed that Peter keeps choosing to spend time with the guys over her.
So, a lot of tension with Peter lately, huh?
That's an understatement, Brian. He's been incredibly thoughtless lately, even more so than usual. But tonight is our night, and a little physical release will do us both some good. Peter, oh, come on!
Not so fast, Lois. Let him explain. This might be a role play thing. With Herbert looking after the kids, which is probably the worst decision they've ever made, Brian, Lois, and Peter hit the road and head to Martha's Vineyard for a couple of days of relaxation. Lois and Brian waste no time enjoying the resort.
Yeah, it really is another world out here.
And just so quiet.
I'm half shark and half Peter. Don't come near me. I will eat you.
They should just do what everyone else does on vacation and put them in a daycare group. Oh wait, that's just for kids. At the award evening, Brian and Lois are ready for a nice evening, but Peter is nowhere to be seen. What a shocker. Brian takes this opportunity to tell Lois that he's just happy that she's there to share the special moment with him. When it's time to accept the reward and read his essay, Peter is still missing. But something tells me Brian prefers it that way.
To those she loved, she exuded strength, life, laughter, and light. And to me, also sorrow, for circumstance had bound her to my best friend, through whom we met in the warmth and serenity of her home.
Come on, man, that's your friend's wife. Actually, scratch that. She's your owner. When Peter eventually turns up, he's stinking drunk after raiding a minibar. At this point, Lois has had enough and tells him he's a real piece of work for choosing to drink over being there for Brian. The next morning, Peter promises to spend some more time with her, but not until the game is finished. Sheesh, talk about priorities. Lois spends the day with Brian instead, which plays right into his pause.
It's never out of date. Hearts filled with passion, jealousy and hate.
They walk on the beach, go to the fun fair, have a couples massage, even get some free lobsters that were destined for the boiling pot. For the first time, Lois actually enjoys a romantic day. Too bad it's with Brian. When they return to the hotel, Lois discovers Peter has canceled dinner plans because he needs to buy new pants after laughing so hard and pooping the ones he was wearing. Well, I'll give him points for creativity with that excuse. Brian and Lois decide to have a cozy movie night instead.
It's gonna be great. A whole evening with Lois.
Lois, my darling!
A couple of steaks, some wine, maybe a couple of sundaes.
Lois, my darling!
Little music, some candlelight.
Lois, my darling!
What a sleazeball. During the movie, he seems to control his urges, but then reverts back to hitting on Lois, telling her that the essay he wrote was about her. He goes on to tell her how much he loves her, which flatters her, and if he had left it there, it would have been a sweet moment between a dog and his owner. But then he does this.
My head is swimming. Brian, no! No, stop it! What are you doing?
I can't help myself, Lois. I know you're married to Peter, but I love you and I can't stand it anymore.
Brian, no! No! Get down! Get down! This is a good sweater!
Yeah, so the whole plan was to get her drunk and make a move. Bad dog. Lois fights Brian off and tells him to leave. Upset and convinced he just committed a crime, Brian confesses what he did to Stewie, who ain't surprised at all. Yeah, this family really isn't normal, is it? When Peter comes back to the room after spending the entire night drinking at the bar, Lois tells him everything. Peter confronts Brian, who is drinking away his problems. And you know, I was expecting him to be apologetic and beg for forgiveness here, but that is not at all how it went down.
You don't deserve her, you know that?
Say what now?
You don't deserve her. She does nothing but give and give and give, and you repay her with selfishness and neglect. You've barely spent any time with her at all on this vacation.
Who the hell are you to tell me how to run my marriage?
You know, he's got a point, but still, making a move on Lois is pretty low, Brian. Peter goes on to say that Brian is a train wreck when it comes to relationships and can never keep a girlfriend for more than a few months. While that is true, he's still just a dog. If they can get distracted by a squirrel, what hope do they have in the love department? Offended, Brian throws whiskey in Peter's face, which starts a full-blown brawl in the bar. Yeah, so much for a relaxing vacation. After the fight ends, Brian tells Peter that he let his feelings for Lois get in the way of any rational thought and apologizes. He then promises that he won't try anything like that ever again. I'll believe it when I see it. After Peter forgives him, Brian talks to Lois to smooth things over, but Lois does not make it easy.
What's that?
Well, it's not like I haven't thought about it.
Really?
Well, yes. I mean, you and I have a lot in common, and we've spent so much time together over the years.
Let me just ask you this. When these thoughts about you and I have crossed your mind, is it good?
Well, a lot of times when Peter and I are having I feel suffocated, but with you, I imagine it would be like doing it with a stuffed animal.
Well, there's an image that's etched firmly into my brain. Thanks for that. While Peter is running out of friends he can trust with Quagmire and Brian happy to ruin marriages for their own selfish needs, there's one guy who has always been nothing but faithful. Cleveland Brown is one of those characters that you can't help but love. He's gentle, naive, and insanely loyal. In fact, he'll do just about anything for Peter, even if it gets him in trouble.
That's it. Now thigh me.
Cleveland definitely has not skipped leg day. In Unzipped Code, Jerome tells the guys how he had a bedroom mishap and ended up breaking his knee. The injury is so bad, in fact, that he needs surgery if he ever wants to walk again, but he just can't afford it. The guys wanting to help their friend come up with an idea to raise money by making a sexy calendar of men in uniform. Clearly, Cleveland isn't the most sculpted of guys, but that doesn't matter, as his thighs could crack a coconut.
We go. Now throw that bad boy up on the mailbox. Ah, you're a natural. You're like Giselle, Beyonce, and Naomi Campbell all in one. You're Jizz on me. That's it, Jizz on me. Jizz on me, yes. Jizz on me.
I wouldn't shout that too loud, Peter. People are going to think this is a very different kind of shoot. The calendar proves to be a success and makes enough money for Jerome to have his surgery. But it turns out the reason the calendar is so popular isn't that Joe has his chest out or Quagmire is wearing his pilot's uniform.
Give me that. All right, let's start at my navel and work down. Belt buckled at the third notch, per postal code regulation. Shorts securely zipped. Neatly pressed crease running down to my Cocoa Pebble.
Yep, they noticed there was a sack in the photo, and it wasn't a postal sack. Cleveland is horrified that the whole town has seen his picture, but things get even worse when his boss at the post office fires him for making a mockery of the uniform. Feeling depressed about losing the job he loves, Peter lets him tag along at the brewery, and it's not long until Cleveland's postal expertise comes in handy.
Griffin, what the hell is going on? We've got a dozen delivery trucks that are days behind schedule.
Mind if this goose takes a gander? Well, for starters, you've got your downtown delivery scheduled for Wednesday morning, but that's when the street sweepers come around and hog the right lane. You switch to the afternoon, you'll be done in half the time.
Peter's boss, Mr. Lloyd, takes advantage of Cleveland's encyclopedic knowledge of the town and offers him a job. At first, Peter's excited to be working with one of his best pals, but Cleveland makes it clear that he takes work very seriously.
Dang it, Peter! This is work, not a sleepover! Now, would you please get out of here? My 10 o'clock meeting is about to start.
Whoa, it's his first day and he's acting like this? I know who's got their eye on the $5 Employee of the Month prize. When Peter makes changes to his delivery schedule, which throws them hours behind, the brewery boss wants answers, but Cleveland quickly fixes the problem. While he does save Peter's bacon, he inadvertently earns himself a promotion, causing Peter to be demoted and lose his office. Hey, that's not cool. Where is he supposed to slack off now? Peter and Lois are invited to Cleveland and Donna's house to celebrate the promotion, but Peter is still bitter.
So what does this promotion mean? Are you like Peter's boss now?
We're all on the same team.
That means yes.
Come on, Peter, you were responsible for him losing his job in the first place. After the party, Peter tells Lois that everyone thinks Cleveland is better than him, but Lois doesn't want to listen to his pity party and tells him he needs to prove Mr. Lloyd wrong.
Think of how good it'll feel to prove your friends and Mr. Lloyd wrong.
That's exactly what I'll do. I bet they won't think Cleveland's so great when I get him fired.
She meant prove him wrong about you, not Cleveland. There's no hope. Peter plans to get Cleveland fired and leaves an anonymous tip at the health department, claiming that a rat was living in the beer tank. Cleveland's worried, after all it'll be him who gets in trouble there, but after taking a look, the tank is spotless. Turns out that Peter was the one responsible for calling in the tip and putting a rat in the tank, but luckily Cleveland found it before the inspector arrived. There's clearly only one rat here, Peter, and that would be you. When Mr. Lloyd finds out what happened, Peter's plan backfires in the worst possible way.
Just informed that you tried to sabotage this operation by putting vermin in the beer tank. This is the last straw, Griffin. You are fired.
Fine. I'm not good enough for this place anyway.
Maybe Peter will get a job at the postal service? Swap, swap. Luckily for Peter, Cleveland is a true friend and he sticks up for him. He tells Mr. Lloyd that the country needs regular, mediocre guys who are happy to work a soulless job for a crappy paycheck. God bless America. Cleveland's speech earns him yet another promotion, but he turns it down as there's really only one job for him.
I'm gonna get right to it and say being a postman is who I am, and I'm here to get my job back.
Well, that's great, but...
Please, sir, let me finish. With this rubber band, I will cinch the offending testicle so that it can never dangle nor sway where it does not belong. Here I go.
Wow, what a sacrifice. He really loves his job. It turns out that he didn't have to wrap his family jewels with a rubber band after all, as the Postal Service couldn't fire him anyway. As he hadn't checked his mail, he had missed the letter telling him to come back to work. The irony of a postman who doesn't check his own mail. Cleveland is such a good soul, but for every sweet character, there is a monster willing to do some truly terrible things, including beating women. Family Guy rarely shies away from tackling sensitive topics with comedy, but Jeff's treatment of Quagmire's sister Brenda is by far one of the most controversial, making him one of the most hated characters in the entire show's history.
Brenda, you tell him?
No, not yet. Everyone, I have wonderful news. Jeff and I are getting married. I'd show you the ring, but it's under the splint. My finger fell down the stairs.
Now, I'm no expert, but I don't think that finger fell down the stairs. In Screams of Silence, the story of Brenda Q, Peter and Joe head to Quagmire's house after he fails to show up for their fishing trip. After getting no answer at the door, they go inside and get the shock of their lives.
Holy crap! Oh my god! He must have autoerotically asphyxiated himself!
Yeah, while he was watching Clown...
Oh, yeah, baby.
That'd be an embarrassing cause of death to have on your gravestone. Fortunately, the guys get to Quagmire in the nick of time and he's rushed to the hospital. His sister Brenda comes to visit along with her boyfriend, Jeff Fiekelman.
All right, on the way back, I get to pick the radio station because that was awful.
I know, yeah, it was. I'm sorry. Oh God, I hope Glenn's okay. I'm so worried about him.
Shut up and limp!
I'm sure he can be nice sometimes, like when he's sleeping. Seeing Quagmire still unconscious, Brenda sings him a song from their childhood, which wakes Glenn up, but as the siblings hug, Jeff yanks her away and tells Quagmire to get his hands off his girl. What? This dude's got more screws loose than a secondhand IKEA wardrobe. Peter and Lois help Quagmire back to his house, while Brenda offers to stay to take care of him while he recovers, but Jeff ain't happy.
Well, listen, how about I make us all some dinner, huh?
Come here! You fat, ugly...
This dude's actually just the worst. After going home for the night, Lois tells Peter that she's upset over how Jeff treated Brenda earlier. Peter tells her that they might have just been having an off night, but that's when they hear Jeff screaming at Brenda, telling her she needs to pick up the night shift at the prison so she can buy him more motor oil and wallet chains. You know, the important stuff. Quagmire, unsure about what to do, turns to Lois and asks her to talk to Brenda about Jeff.
Jeff would never allow that.
You know, that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, Brenda. Do you mind taking off your sunglasses? Oh my God.
No, it's really not that bad. It only hurts when I see.
You know, you don't have to stay with a man who treats you that way.
What? He's about as sweet as a lemon dipped in salt. Lois gives Brenda the harsh truth that real men don't treat people that way, but she's having none of it. Joe suggests the group hold an intervention to try and make Brenda see that Jeff is a nasty piece of work. While Meg and Peter fail to make a point, it's Glenn who gives a truly touching message that goes way beyond the show.
A woman makes choices to make her life better. Sadly, the fact that you are with Jeff proves to me that you have made a choice to make your life worse.
Well, that was heavy for a Family Guy episode. Can Peter have a fight with a giant chicken or something to cut the tension? At first it seems that Brenda is finally willing to listen, but that's when Jeff bursts in. Brenda then drops the bombshell that she's pregnant and that they're getting married. Oh man, it just keeps getting worse and worse. All the guys agree that people like Jeff shouldn't be a part of society.
You know, I was thinking this afternoon, what the hell happened to the days when a guy does something like that to a girl and a bunch of us guys get together and just go kick his ass?
Boy, that'd be satisfying.
When Joe's thinking about breaking the law, you know it's bad. Quagmire goes on to suggest they kill Jeff, but Joe tells him that murder is against the law and it's not happening. But he soon changes his mind when he sees Jeff hit Brenda and the guys invite him for a late night hunting trip. In the woods, the guys wait for Jeff to take a leak so they can catch him off guard, but it turns out he's not as dumb as he seems.
When he comes back, I'm just gonna do it, okay? I'm just gonna point my gun straight at his head before he even knows what's going on.
Kinda like this? You know, Quagmire, you are pathetic. You have to bring your friends out here with you to do your dirty work?
That was a fast leak. I hope he washed his hands. Jeff knocks out Peter and Joe, then drives Quagmire into the woods to kill him. Knowing the bully won't turn down an offer to inflict more suffering, Glenn suggests they fight to the death. Jeff quickly overpowers him and chokes him until he stops breathing, but Jeff underestimates who he's messing with.
What the hell? I killed you!
I choke myself every day, you bastard!
Is it wrong that I found that really satisfying? I don't think I need to explain why fans despise Jeff, a reaction the Family Guy writers no doubt wanted, although I don't think they could have ever imagined just how hated he in this episode would end up being. But it's not always black and white when it comes to Family Guy characters, with even the most loved ones doing bad things. But who doesn't like a good redemption arc? Lois is the glue that holds the Griffin family together, and is a much-loved character. She's grounded, caring, and with a hint of craziness mixed in. But who will pick up the pieces when she's no longer around?
Here you go, meet your new friends.
Hi.
I'm sure Fisty is lovely when you get to know her. In Breaking Out is Hard to Do, Lois, Brian, and the kids go grocery shopping. Unfortunately, Lois forgets to go to the bank and doesn't have enough money to pay for everything. Usually, she would just put them back, but this time... Nothing beats a nice slice of ham with the essence of handbag fluff. Back at the Griffin household, Brian notices that Lois still has the ham despite putting it back. She tells him that she had 2 hams but put 1 back, and Brian buys it. Stealing and lying, hit the bottle, and you've got the deadbeat mom starter pack. Later, Lois goes into a clothes store, and remembering the rush she got from stealing the ham, things start to get weird. That's exactly how I act when I find out the buffet is all you can eat. Maybe I have a problem too. And it doesn't just end there. Lois hits more stores than a shoplifter planning to go on a summer vacation. To further her buzz, she even invites Bonnie and Joe over for dinner. Yeah, she invites a cop to look over all her new stuff. She's out of control. Brian realizes that Lois must be stealing.
Hey, is that an original Matisse?
Hey, Bonnie, listen, why don't you stop with the questions, huh? You're ruining everyone's good time.
Yeah, Bonnie, stop asking questions about the expensive artwork. The spree does not end there, though, with Lois going to an auto parts store to steal a muffler. What she doesn't realize is that Brian has been following her and he catches her red-handed. When confronted, she admits that she's become addicted to stealing, but promises that she's done with her life of crime. Brian helps Lois load the car with everything she took so it can be returned, but it's too late.
Hold it right there, Lois.
Oh my god, I am so embarrassed. Let me just get my purse.
Wow, Joe's a badass. I wonder what he'd be like with legs. In court, Lois apologizes for stealing, and the judge decides to go lenient on her. Well, that is until she steals his gavel. Are you serious? Seeing that she's completely out of control, Judge Blackman sentences her to 3 years in the slammer. And with the matriarch of the family gone, the Griffin family falls into chaos.
Aww. Peter, there's so much duty in here. I can't take it anymore.
And this is the reason I'm happy they never invented smell-o-vision. During a prison visit, which I'm pretty sure Peter only agreed to so Lois could change Stewie's diaper, Peter complains about having to do all her jobs around the house, and Lois tells him that's the reason she started stealing, as she was bored of the same repetitive lifestyle. Knowing the family can't live without her, Peter comes up with a plan to break her out.
I'm just gonna have to pay my debt to society.
Not necessarily. I think I got an idea of how to smuggle you out.
Bye-bye. Take care now. Have a nice day.
Well, I didn't say it was a good plan. On the run from the law, the Griffin family end up in an Asian town to start their new life. They rent an apartment, get jobs, and try to keep a low profile, but unfortunately, Joe is still on the case. And after tuning into the sumo wrestling channel and spotting Peter, he discovers where they're hiding.
Everybody, over the fence!
Aw, man, that's not fair. What next? To put a stick in his wheelchair spokes? With Joe piloting a military-grade helicopter, the Griffins head into the sewer, but Joe's hot on their trail. Blowing a hole in the ground with a missile, Joe flies through the sewer, hunting his fugitives.
Self in.
You're mine now, Lois.
Oh my god, Joe! Joe, you're too heavy! I can't hang on!
Pretend I'm your child, Lois. Nutmeg!
It's a good thing she can muster up supermom strength when thinking about her kids. Well, except Meg. The heroic act worked out in her favor, though, as Joe irons things out with Judge Blackman and she's allowed to go free. I'm pretty sure that's not how the law works, but I'll roll with it. No one can deny that Lois pretty much sticks to her morals, but the same cannot be said about her father, who would rather hide the cure for cancer. That actually happened, by the way. Carter Pewterschmidt is selfish, cruel, racist, and insanely rich. All the villainous traits fans love to hate. And boy, do people hate him. While he's done some seriously unforgivable things, nothing comes close to the time he chose money over saving millions of lives.
Medicine, why the hell would you keep it buried like this? I'll tell you why. Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
Spoken like a true sociopath. In The Old Man and the Big Sea, Peter and the guys go to a ball game, but after piling on each other trying to catch the ball, Quagmire's secret comes out.
Damn it, Brian, that came to me! That's my ball! What?
Holy crap!
Yeah, it turns out that Glenn has less hair than a naked mole rat. At first, the guys tell him to embrace his baldness, but when he suddenly becomes boring, tuning into ham radio and spending way too much time in the library, they convince him to get a hair transplant. Way to be supportive, guys. At the hospital, however, Brian overhears some terrible news.
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Pewterschmidt, but the cancer is terminal. If you're lucky, you've got 2 weeks to live.
I understand. Oh my god! Carter's dying?
Frick, man, just 2 weeks? If I were him, I'd ask him if that includes bank holidays. Not the time. With this newfound knowledge, Brian tells Stewie about his grandfather. Stewie taps into the hidden camera in his room to check for himself and sees Carter looking rougher than a music festival porta potty. It's down to Brian to break the news to Lois about her dad, and as you can probably expect, she does not take it well.
Oh my god, Daddy! see.
Yeah, I feel really horrible for you, and I hate to do this, but I'm trying to catch a 4:50 movie, and it's like 4:40 now, and so if I'm gonna make it, I have to leave, like, now.
Man, you suck, Brian. For that, I hope they've run out of popcorn by the time you get there. Worried about her dying father, Lois and the family rush the Pewterschmidt estate to spend the remaining time they have left with Carter. When they arrive, however, the situation isn't as dire as it seemed. In fact, Carter looks completely fine. Lois yells at Brian for making up an awful lie, but Brian can't ignore what he heard at the hospital and comes up with a theory.
I think Carter is sick, or possibly even dead, and that the man we saw today was an imposter brought in to keep Pewterschmidt Industries' stock price up and to keep people from knowing the truth.
Now that's a wild conspiracy. What next? Family Guy is really an alternate reality of The Simpsons? Wait, I think it actually is. Like, that would make a lot of sense. Brian and Stewie decide to follow the imposter, and after getting into an elevator, they overhear him talking about keeping a secret from the public and that Specimen Z is secure. Brian and Stewie are convinced that they're talking about the real Carter Pewterschmidt, who is either being kept hidden or is already dead. The duo rush to the 12th floor and find the vault holding this Specimen Z, but what they discover is way worse than their original theory.
Specimen Z is a cure for cancer.
Why the hell would you keep it buried like this? I'll tell you why. Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
What? That's insane!
Downright evil. To make things worse, Carter tells Brian that he's had the cure since 1999. Dude, if he's had it that long, I wonder why he waited until he looked like a walking corpse to cure himself. Maybe he really likes hospital jello, I don't know. Brian says he's committing a crime by withholding the cure for cancer, but Carter isn't worried and throws them out of the Pewterschmidt Industries building. It's just lucky they're family, or else they'd be wearing a concrete overcoat right about now. Brian knows that nobody will ever believe them, but fortunately, Stewie snags some of the miracle goo back at the lab. They're about to tell Lois about the shady dealings when Carter and his goons catch up with them.
Brian here has stolen something very important from me. Give it to me, Brian.
Lois, your father has a cure for cancer, but he won't release it because it's not profitable, so I stole it.
Daddy, is this true?
Can you imagine being told your father is that evil? Like, it's right up there with the guy who invented pineapple pizza. Lois discusses it with Carter and tells him how much more important saving lives is compared to making money. And after asking him how he would feel if his family got cancer, he eventually agrees to make an announcement. So has Carter finally gained a conscience? Of course not.
Sitting here in front of the TV awaiting the big announcement. Remember the one that's gonna benefit all mankind? The one you promised to make for me, your daughter?
I lied.
Lois, you can't stay mad at him. He's rich and successful.
Carter's the kind of guy who would sell ice to the Eskimos and then charge them delivery. While most Family Guy characters have some redeemable characteristics, Carter is and will always be a jerk. And yes, Lois has a horrible father, but at least things are balanced out by her husband most of the time, who, despite his many faults, is everyone's favorite Family Guy. Whether it's his childlike mentality, his outrageous jokes, or the loyalty he has for his family, you can't help but love Peter Griffin. Throughout the show's history, he's barely changed. Well, except for the time he grew a mustache.
Peter, don't you think you're kind of letting that mustache consume your personality?
Shut up, Brian. I am part of a very special community now. People with mustaches look out for each other.
I'd hate to see what he looks like with a beard. In McStroke, Peter decides it's time for a change of appearance after picking up Cleveland's mail and reading his copy of Mustache Aficionado. Thinking that a little facial hair makes guys look classy, Peter decides to grow a good old-fashioned handlebar mustache.
Oh, I think it's sexy.
I think it's gay.
It's not gay, Brian. If I'm gay, then Freddie Mercury was gay.
You're just jealous that dogs can't grow a flavor saver, Brian. Peter tells his family that they should expect him to become more fatherly, although he also says it makes him look poorly educated. And that's not true. Albert Einstein had a killer stash, and he was smart. Peter thinks it's finally time to go visit the all-mustache exclusive places in Quahog, like the Italian Deli, where he thinks he can speak Italian all of a sudden, and the Secret Society.
Point of mustache.
The chair recognizes your mustache.
What can we as citizens do about mustache awareness?
Good mustache question. We have a new product in our mustache catalog that makes a great stocking stuffer. We call it the Must Stash. The slogan is, you must stash your mustache in the mustache.
For anyone thinking about taking a shot every time someone says mustache, trust me, don't. It will not end well. It's not long until the mustache culture goes to Peter's head, and it's not just his lip. He begins to feel superior to everyone else not sporting a good lip rug. Brian tries to tell Peter to calm down and stop letting a little bit of facial hair change his personality, but that's when they see this.
Oh my God, Peter, look! McBurger Town is on fire!
Oh man, I hate it when they char grill the meat too much. The firefighters struggle to put the fire out, which is no doubt fueled by the gallons of cooking grease they have lying around. Looking for help, a fireman spots Peter and his impressive mustache and decides he's the perfect man for the job. The fire department has some strange credential requirements.
No, with great mustache comes great responsibility.
And yes, while Peter saved the restaurant manager's life, it came at a heavy price. Peter's mustache gets completely burnt off, and he's no longer welcome in the community. On the plus side, however, the manager of McBurgertown gives Peter a lifetime supply of free burgers to thank him for saving his life. Totally worth it. So Peter wastes no time in taking advantage of all the free food, but after eating 30 hamburgers, he collapses.
Mrs. Griffin, your husband has had a stroke. The left half of his body is completely paralyzed.
Peter, sweetheart, how do you feel?
Had better days, Lois. Had better days.
First he loses his mustache and then the feeling in the left side of his body. He just can't catch a break. 3 months later, Peter's back home, but the effects of the stroke haven't gone away. Desperate to get back to normal, Peter visits a stem cell facility, and after 5 minutes, he's as good as new. Wow, I bet he's waited longer at the McBurgertown drive-thru than that. Back to his old self, Peter tries to sue the company for being unhealthy and causing his stroke, but as they have lots of lawyers, he loses the case.
Peter, one man can't take on a multinational fast food conglomerate.
Oh, yes, I can. This ain't over, Brian. Those people are bad, and I'm gonna prove it to the world.
How do you expect to do that?
Are you kidding? I've tackled tougher jobs before.
But Peter, if fast food's so bad, why does it taste so good? Determined to find some incriminating evidence to expose the truth, Brian and Peter pretend to be rich businessmen looking to invest. Somehow they believe them and get shown around the headquarters. Once the coast is clear, Brian and Peter enter a restricted room, and it turns out to be a slaughterhouse.
Well, the cow part C-O-W, like cow. So it's kind of a dark joke.
Yeah, it's a Holocaust joke. That's really funny.
Unfortunately, life in a slaughterhouse is no laughing matter. They have killed a great many of us, including my beloved wife.
Man, that's so sad. I'll never be able to look at a steak again. Well, at least for the next couple of hours anyway. Peter and Brian break Mr. Cal free so he can testify in court, but they're seen and chased through the building before making their escape. With all the ammunition they need, Mr. Cal whistleblows on the mistreatment of the animals, ruining McBurgertown's reputation. All that's left to sort out now is where Mr. Cal will be living.
Where will you go now, Mr. Cow?
I cannot stay here. Peter said I could stay here.
I don't really see how that's gonna work out.
Oh, well, as I said, Peter just promised that
I should stop you there. I didn't really promise anything. I just said maybe if it was okay with Lois.
Oh, that's awkward. Is it too late to ask for your old spot back at the McBurgertown headquarters? The fact that Family Guy has run for 23 seasons is a testament to how much fans love the characters, especially Peter, who causes havoc in most of the storylines. He may be an idiot, but he's a hilarious idiot with a good heart. Anywho, that's all I got today. But be sure to click the video on screen now to get some more Family Guy goodness. Peace!